JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. December 13th, 2024. This fine Friday, 8:37. Gonna be a really quick rant. I'm probably gonna talk really fast, so hopefully not too fast. Talk about the market, some names I'm looking at, go from there. Take a look at S&P futures. Looks like a bounce here. Nasdaq's up almost 1%. That's on the heels of yesterday's pullback, which we gapped lower at the open, couldn't find any support, and closed right at the lows. Gave back all the gains from Wednesday, and now the S&P is down over 0.5% for the week. The Dow, on the other hand, is down 6 sessions in a row. Not that I look at the Dow too much, but everybody likes to bring up all the bad things when the bad things start to happen, right? What is it this morning? They've been talking about for a couple of days now, the market breadth, right? The amount of stocks. Typically, when you see an uptrend or a healthy market, all the stocks are moving up, right? It's all great. It's utopia, whatever you want to call it. But now it's what the headline: 9 straight sessions of more declining stocks than rising stocks on the S&P. Hasn't happened in 20 years. I mean, the bad breath argument has been part of a narrative or bearish narrative for years now with the Magnificent Seven. And I mean, it used to be just the four stock, right? The FANG stocks: Facebook, Apple, uh, Netflix, and Google, right? That was the FANG stocks, and then they just added on the other ones, or Nvidia. So take everything with a grain of salt. At some point, we're gonna have a pullback. I put it on watch list this morning. Another tight trading range, 0.5% trading range. At some point, that comes to an end, and probably a pullback, right? Larger than 0.5%. We had a 0.5% trading range. Probably gonna have a 1.5-2% trading down day at some point. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. And of course, I'm not here to try and time. Not trying to time a top or a bottom is an impossible work that people try to do all the time on FinTwit, and they usually call the top. They call 100 of the last two tops, right? That's typically how it is. Or they call 75 of the last six bear markets. So sense my sarcasm. Anyway, so I put on watch again. 600 is a big spot for me on the SPY. We break that, I'll look for put hedges, but I still think that 610 is coming. 608 and change has been high, so maybe if we can get up there, if we can break through that into the weekend, it'd be good. But I'll just take a green close here today. Maybe a 0.5% day would be nice to recoup most of yesterday's losses. The weekly losses and closing green. The other thing I want to see is yields. The 10-year up again yesterday, so not a good week for yields. Although the inversion looks like it's going to have the longest yield inversion that was supposed to tell us a recession was coming. That was the big bear story a year and a half ago, was this inversion, and that's coming to an end. So I guess that's a good thing. All right, so individual names. I talked about these in the afternoon yesterday. I didn't have SSYS on the watch list, but it's a name I've always watched. I kind of know. It's like you do research on these names over the years, and you kind of know them like the back of your hand. So it's been beaten to death. It's almost like a forgotten name, right? I mean, the 3D sector was hot. I don't know if it was 2015. 3D System, SSYS, PRLB. There were other names that went bonkers, and then they came back to earth. And then now it was like a declining revenue story. So SSYS, their last earnings showed a turnaround. I mean, they have $64 million in cash, $640 million market cap, and they have opportunities. And I look at it, I'm not saying it's going to be $100 stock or 50 or 30, but I think there's an opportunity for it to trade $15 in the coming weeks. And then I looked at the premiums. I go, wow, the March strikes look inexpensive on risk reward basis. So I might get a chance to lock some of those in for nearly 100% in the next couple of days, and I'll ride the rest. Huge call volume too. That's kind of like triggered me. It was over 1,000 or 1,200 contracts traded before I got my strikes, and another 1,000 or so after that. So really like this story for a move to $15. Not going to do too much of a rant on gold, but it is breaking under that 27 handle this morning. Gold futures down 1%. I keep putting on a watch list too. There's one day we're going to wake up and gold futures are going to be down 6, 7. Well, I say 3 or 4%. That's a I wouldn't. 7% would be a big low possibility, but if it's going to be, I think 3 or 4%. If that happens, I mean, you're looking at over $100 or so at least in minimum on a move to the downside. I think it heads down to 24.50 at least in 2025 at some point. So call me crazy. That's sometimes you have to be crazy to make huge gains on options, right? Nobody thinks gold's going to typically moves less than 1%, right? It's going to happen at some point, especially as this narrative conversation around store of value in this argument it just gets hotter and hotter. So, all right, rants for other days. That's gold, and that long-term uptrend. It's going to break back under that this morning. And so other names, it seems like a premium crush week, right? Right? So Square gave back the Wednesday gains, closed down nearly 4%. I mean, you look at the chart, it still looks like consolidation here. Unfortunately, not good for the calls, but I still think 100 plus comes and then FOMO to 110. So hopefully a solid green session here today for Square. Similar to Roku, it was trading in the green yesterday, similar to what it's done pretty much every session this week. It was 86 and 85 and then 84 yesterday. Then last minute sell off, pulled it back into the red. Still like this to 90 bucks. Silver lining, still holding that 80 handle. Typically, after a big move, Roku sells off quicker. Hasn't done that. Hopefully, it won't do that. JOBY, I say thankful, but got out the rest of my January 750s. Still hold the January 10s. The premiums have gotten destroyed. I wouldn't say destroyed, but just come down quite a bit. So now not only do the Aprils look attractive, the July strikes look attractive. So don't be surprised if I add some April and or July strikes today. They had news this morning. It just seems like every day there's more news out. And of course, 2 days ago was their shelf offering, but that's all part of the game with JOBY. I think it heads into the double digits 2025 at least. Peloton looked like it was going to break to new highs earlier in the week, and then yesterday just doesn't. No buyers to be found, down nearly 4.5%. But again, similar to Square, the chart doesn't look too bad considering where it's run from. So maybe some consolidation here, and then finally can break through that 1050 handle, not look back. And then Fiverr consolidating as well, only down 1% considering the market. Typically, Fiverr would be down 2, 3, even more percent on down days like we had yesterday. So still like that one. And then unfortunately, Teldoc under its 200-day moving average. So I don't know if I'm going to, you chalk this up to tax loss selling, people who may be trying to offset some big gainers from this year. Maybe they'll lock some gainers in and want to offset it with some losers, right? And Teldoc's one of those names, is a big loser in 2024. So hopefully these are the names that you can start to see rally into the end of the year as they get oversold. So hopefully that happens here soon with Teladoc. Still like the name, still think, especially if they're able to get a turnaround in place, that it heads into the 20s and beyond in 2025. Also still watching TripAdvisor. I keep using this analogy over the last couple of days: buy it when it's cold and sell it when it's piping hot. Same with TravelZoo. Solar Edge looked great. The last two sessions, yesterday just opened great, and then just all the way down to 13 and change, close at 13.28. Another name, tax loss selling. So maybe some of that could be chalked up to tax loss selling, and then finds the bottom. And December 15th is that day. That little historical posted 2 days ago, where that's historically over the last 74 years, S&P has rallied over 1.5% over that time frame. So it's a very bullish time period. Hopefully some of these tax loss selling names that are in the red for this year find some buying on oversold conditions into the end of the year. And I think that's it, folks. Don't be surprised if I add more gold positions. It's one of those I say, not I say, but never wrong, just early. And I hate to be not in, but was early, right? Wasn't able to hold a position. So that's why I'm going later out, because I think it's going to happen, whether it happens this week, next month, February, March. It's just, well, I'll probably put a timestamp on this rant and yesterday's rant so I can reference it when it happens. Only to make myself feel validated, not for any pat my back kind of situation. That's it, folks. 8:46. Have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.